for the Indians. 1 run on, let's see, 1 hit. That's all. We got 1 goddamn hit.
You can't say goddamn on the air.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
From the Gateway Lounge in Sioux Falls, it's Nobody's Listening Anyway. Here are your hosts, John Gaskins and Matt Zimmer.
And hello, it's game week. And I'm using my inside voice on Matt Zimmer's equipment so things aren't overmodulated like they sometimes are with my loud, booming voice when we use Matt Zimmer's equipment. But, you know, also...
Nobody notices but you.
Try to be a golf announcer. maybe not.
You just went and asked him to turn the music down over it. No one ever notices. You can never hear it. He's paranoid about it every time.
Well, I can hear it.
It was a little loud. Springsteen was a little loud.
Yeah, they were blaring Born to Run, which usually is a very good thing. You know, they've been really cranking it out today. There's been some great Tom Petty. There was a little Doobie Brothers. And your favorite, Paul Simon, was playing. Yeah. I learn a little bit something new about Matt Zimmer's music tastes almost every week, and I had no idea you did not like Paul Simon.
I don't.
Okay. But you're not going to get
into it. I saw him when
he
came to Sioux Falls a few years ago. I was dragged by my significant other at the time, and there was like a 95-year-old guy in a wheelchair in the row in front of us, with it looked like they'd taken him out of the hospital. Like he still had the thing hooked up to him. And I was just kind of like, what are we doing?
Well,
when you have people on their deathbed coming to see you, like it's maybe time to hang it up, Paul.
Well, that's been the case. Elton John, McCartney's still playing. The Rolling Stones just made a new album, and I'm sure they'll go out on tour again.
Yeah.
And
me and Greg were just talking the other day about the Stones. Like neither one of us has seen them,
right?
And always kind of like to, but do I want to pay? You know, what do you think a ticket to the Stones show is?
Like $300 for the worst seats.
Yeah, do you want to pay that to see a bunch of 85-year-olds? You know, like. I don't know.
It depends on how they sound. If they sound good, if they're still good.
Mick Jagger sounds the same as he did when he was 40.
Exactly. Have you listened to the new album?
It's okay.
Foreign Tongues.
The previous one was just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Hackney Diamonds. That was great.
Okay.
I was really surprised. Yeah. The new ones, it's okay.
I never checked out the Hackney Diamonds one. Like the single from that was supposed to be big. I was kind of, don't get angry with. I'm kind of But the Mr. Charm's like the big one on this one. I like that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
For
a bunch of 85-year-olds.
Yeah, yes. Not too bad. And before we just dive into, by the way, it's week 1 of college football here in South Dakota. Jackson Yotes, big favorites, each of them on Saturday. And so much is up there at SiouxFallsLive.com to help you read and prepare, get excited, get ready, be informed. And we've got so much from the last several days of shows, going back to our college football previews for the Jackson Yotes Volume 1, Augie and USF Volume 2 last week with Matt and I, plus Dan Jackson and Matt Vitztham this week. Sam Herder was great yesterday, now off on his own venture. Mm-hmm. It's all there for you, SiouxFallsLive.com, where you can actually watch the show as well. And if you're not going to be in Vermilion or Brookings on Saturday, next best place is a place like the Gateway Lounge on the west side or Gibbs on the east side, because they will actually have these games on, likely with the sound on. So fans who congregate in the bars, like big-time college football fans do, will get the full breadth of experience of their games, plus great food, great service, good drink specials, all that. But we are going to do the dead gal of the week first. While we're on the topic of 80-year-olds still going in the music industry, but Dolly Parton is not. He cheers to Dolly Parton, one of the most universally loved, people, like celebrities, singers, like one of the most universally beloved people of my lifetime, of yours. Mm-hmm. And guess she had a bout with cancer that was pretty quiet. And
is that what they said now?
That's what I heard this morning. Yeah, like a quick one.
Yeah, I was surprised when I heard. I didn't know that she was battling anything.
Right. Well, she was. I think supposedly she was on a show either the day she died or the day before, but she couldn't do her residency in Las Vegas, or not a residency, but she had shows scheduled in Vegas she couldn't travel to do. So there were hints, but the last videos of her are Dolly, of her being absolutely breathtakingly charming. And so I'm just guessing. Well, I'd love to hear your own words about Dolly Parton and what she means to your very musical life. in taste.
I mean, I'd be lying if I said I was a big fan of her music. Jolene's a great song, and I love the story that she wrote Jolene and I Will Always Love You in the same day, supposedly.
Wow.
I mean, that's kind of amazing. Two of the greatest songs of all time.
And one of them took only minutes to write. I can't remember which one. I think Jolene was.
Right.
Yeah.
And my earliest memories of Dolly, and probably my favorite memories, are the movie 9 to 5. That was one of the first movies I saw as a kid.
Me too.
I absolutely loved it.
Me too.
So that was a big part of my young childhood. It's funny too, because I don't know if it was that her hair was so blonde that it almost looked whitish, but she always seemed like an old lady to me back then. Wow. And then I got older and realized, she was like 30. Yeah. And I always pictured her as like this sort of grandma-like figure.
Yeah, she was about 35 in 9 to 5.
Yeah. And but I love that movie. And then around the same time, the Kenny and Dolly Christmas, that was a big family tradition with us. We always had the Kenny and Dolly.
Kenny Rogers.
Christmas album played every Christmas. So that was kind of the role, I guess, she played in my life. I'd be lying if I said I was a huge fan of Dolly Parton's music. I didn't listen to it a lot. I almost think of her more as a kind of pop culture figure or an actress as much as a singer or songwriter or anything. But incredibly talented, incredibly beautiful. And as everyone has, my Twitter timeline for the last 24 hours has been nothing but Dolly Parton stories, and I'm here for it. I can't get enough.
The same thing.
I'm not getting sick of that.
Last night, this is so 2026. My husband and I are sitting out on the patio, just scrolling through Dolly Parton tributes here and there, written things, videos,
anecdotes from people who knew her. Great stories.
And we don't have enough time to cover the whole breadth and depth of who she was, but she was still relevant to some degree. She was still appearing all the time on award shows or televised concerts, and also with some of the hottest, and I don't just mean a physical appearance, but like the top charting female artists, like every great female artist of this day, and anytime between when she got really big and now, swears by her that she was a major influence.
I saw tributes from Eminem.
Yes,
from
I saw that one.
Beyonce. Yeah. Dwight Yoakam, Paul McCartney.
So not just females,
kind of all the way across. Yeah,
she was special but like Carrie Underwood, Kelly Clarkson, Casey Musgraves, Pink, Brandy Carlisle, Sabrina Carpenter. They all just adored her, and not just her kind of being a breakthrough feminist, even though she never called herself one. The ability, the main thing she taught people was to be sweet and kind and wholesome. Well, wholesome, I mean, she was, but it's do the right thing. She seemed like a genuinely sweet person and wasn't a fake, which a lot of really famous people sometimes that you see are. And I guess she once joked that on her tombstone it was going to be, "Here she was supposed to lie. We're not sure where she went." I thought that was interesting. And I Will Always Love You, which of course famously Whitney Houston picked up 18 years later. For one, more people probably remember the Whitney version than the Dolly version. She said in a Howard Stern interview that when she heard that on the radio for the first time, which I guess was
the Whitney version? The
Whitney version. She was driving in her car in Hollywood, driving around. She was going to a Walgreens. She remembers the moment when she heard it. And what Whitney did with the song drove her to tears. She said it was one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life.
Well, Whitney Houston's a better singer than Dolly Parton. I mean, Dolly wrote the song, but I'm not trying to criticize Dolly Parton. Right. Like Whitney Houston's version is pretty incredible.
But when she wrote that in like 1973, and at the time she was still she had Porter Wagner or something, like she had a business partner whose band she was in, and she wanted to break free, and she thought she could make it on her own. And so the song was written toward him, not a lover, but to somebody who was her duet partner. And it was kind of a last, like, this is bittersweet, but I got to say goodbye. And it was such a revered song, written song, that Elvis offered to record it with her. And she turned him down. He was going to share the royalties, and she said, "Nope, this is mine. I'm going to make it mine." And so those are kind of some things. And by the way, I'm not. She was, she was asked about her blonde bombshell persona, and some people didn't like that.
Takes a lot of money to look this cheap. That
She-
was her
she-
favorite
yes.
line. Yep.
But when she was kind of younger and moving up in the world, she said, "I'm not going to change my image. I'm going to make a fortune out of it."
Well, she
So
did.
she had a lot of good lines, both in life and in her songs. I don't know about you, but sometimes you kind of get locked in or hooked on a song and you play it over and over again, or you come back to it for a few months and you're going to laugh and you're going to say, "This is so gay," which I am. So Sabrina Carpenter, you're familiar with Sabrina, right?
I kind of know who it is, yeah.
Okay, she's a blonde bombshell today.
Uh-huh.
She sounds a lot like Dolly Parton, and she has this song called "Please, Please, Please," and I was like, this reminds me of somebody. This is like an old soul. Is this even her own song? And it was like, she did the song. I think it's her own song, but she did the song in a video with Dolly Parton, and it's "My image is one thing, my ego's another. Please don't embarrass me like the others." Because it was a song pleading to her boyfriend to not embarrass her, like in front of her family and stuff. Anyway, Dolly Parton. Cheers to Dolly Parton. Thought we'd do that at the beginning and not at the end, because everybody else is. But I think we've about covered it.
Well, Tim Curry died today.
He did?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of Tim Curry things all
That's
over
why.
the place. I guess he was...
A couple nights ago, Shelley Fabris died. She played Christine
Christina,
Armstrong on
yes,
Coach.
on Coach.
And we're watching Coach right now. We did our Cheers thing. Now we're doing Coach. And so that was, whoa, Christine. We've been watching that show every night.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's a whole bunch of them this week.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Curry's an icon, Rocky Horror
Picture
Picture Show, most famously. Was he he was probably the first
He was the clown
major
in It.
part,
Yeah.
major kind of trans part in a movie
Kinda,
like that. And I loved him in Clue.
He was really funny in Home Alone too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So anyway, cheers to all of our dead guys and
people
gals of the week. There's a lot. And I hate to say this and bring it up, but Dolly Parton was 80. A lot of these, Tim Curry was probably right around.
He was 80.
Oh, I mean, my dad just turned 80. That's really tough, and that's really tough for me to digest when I can, when you continue to see, famous people who are a big part of your life, but are your parents' age, and then you go, wow, and my dad's in great shape, but you just go, and especially with Dolly, who looked healthy and vibrant all the way to the end. It's takes on a different meaning.
Like I said, we're watching Coach, which took place in the early '90s, and so those characters like Hayden Fox, Craig T. Nelson, they're in their mid 40s in the show, which is how old I am now.
Yes,
and so it's kind of like, oh, these people are dying now. Okay, so I got about 30-some years left if I'm lucky. Is basically what that's telling me. But
all right, and with that shot of life,
no Zimmer male has ever even made it to 80.
Oh, wow.
So congratulations to Dolly Parton and Tim Curry. They made it.
My family's the exact opposite.
Everyone lives forever.
Well, yes, my dad's...
I don't envy you. I don't really... If I'm still kicking at 97, I'm going to be pissed off.
If I am, I hope I can walk and golf. That's all I hope for,
I don't know.
Walk, golf, have a, not feel like shit in the morning or all day. That'd be great if I can do that. Preferably living on my own. But my dad's grandmother lived to 104. Her son, my dad's dad, lived to 79, but he smoked for 65 years. Smoked like a chimney and still made it to 79.
Yeah, that's...
And so, yeah, we'll see.
I don't smoke, and I probably won't make it to 79.
Well, you don't drink either, so you got that in the corner. Yeah. So, hey, here's a segue. College football coaches, when I ask them here on Happy Hour what their happy hour drink of choice is, they always make sure to say, well, I don't drink during the season. I don't drink during the season. But here's what I like to drink when, it's anyway.
They drink more during the season.
Well, I guess they're not drinking anymore.
You're not fooling me.
Because they're kicking things off on Saturday. And we're going to do a show tomorrow. Every Thursday during the season, it's called the Thirsty Thursday Football Forecast. Trent Singer and I really look ahead to all the matchups of all of our most popular teams, college and high school in the area, and make predictions, which we will do starting tomorrow. But first, and I want your thoughts about what's going to unfold in these games. But first things first, your top headline from Jackrabbit Land heading into this game. Your own top headline.
They're ready to go. I mean, they've been ready to go. Logan Green said to me on Media Day, which was 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
He was like, I want to play tomorrow. We're ready to go. And they are, because they have everybody back, and they have more continuity and familiarity with the schemes and the coaches and everything. I feel like every time we come on here and talk about the Jacks, I'm just regurgitating
Me
the same
too.
stuff. And I am.
Like, what do we got? What do we got?
Yeah.
What do we got
just
new
not,
for you today?
Yeah. And the more I look into Stetson, the more it's
Yep.
they're going to win that game really handily.
They're 47.5-point favorites.
Are they?
They are.
They should be. That's what it should be.
And the over-under is 57.5.
So they're
which
saying
means
48 to 10.
55-3, 49-7, something like that.
Well, if the Jacks play well, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
Stetson does have a couple quarterbacks that look kind of intriguing, but they played a couple scholarship FCS teams last year and got absolutely obliterated.
Yeah.
And those teams are not anywhere near as good as the Jacks are. So it should be kind of a walk in the park. I'm interested to see, how they divvy carries with the running backs,
Right.
which wide receivers and tight ends are on the field the most, how they handle the rotations at the defensive line. Linebacker, obviously, they've got 8 guys that could start. Who's going to play the most? Secondary, same kind of thing. I mean, again, we've talked about this over and over again, but when they were winning national championships, their defense had essentially 25 starters, 25 starting caliber players. I want to see if they can do that again, or how close to that they can be again. And I want to see how Chase Mason plays. He had a really, really good first year, but all indications are that he's going to be better. He needs to be better if he wants to get drafted by the NFL. So that'll be something to watch. What other quarterbacks play? I think Josh Holst is QB2. I don't know if that's been made official yet. So that is, it's fun when they play a Montana State early in the season like they did last year. But it can still be fun when they're playing these teams they're going to beat, because they get to sort of play around a little bit, try some different things, do some experimenting. So I'm interested to see how that goes.
Well, you wrote in your column about Stetson that the Jackrabbits aren't going to play with their food, but I mean, that generally means they're going to slop around,
hang around,
but they can play around with some things for sure. If you're a 47.5-point favorite, that is being suggested that you're going to score that many points, which means you damn well should have some easy touchdowns and some easy touchdown drives.
And we've talked about how they lacked big plays last year, lacked explosiveness. That's something you probably want to see.
And they should have more of it. What I found interesting when Dan Jackson talked with me about this on Tuesday or Monday, doesn't matter, that they should have gone to Lofton Ograski when he was not hurt, and Graham Goring more last year if they wanted more explosive plays. He said Alex Bullock was a different type of receiver. I'm guessing he meant possession receiver, but now you got 2 guys who can really break a big play. So if you get it into those guys' hands more, you're going to see more big plays.
And you got Jack Smith and you got Landon Delaney.
Well, that's another hint that he gave, was that you wanted to know, so I asked Dan about some players in recent practices who have been held out, who haven't practiced at all, who are mostly veterans, seniors. And he said guys like Logan Green, Dawson Ripperda, even Lofton Ograski, who's a junior, but kind of a veteran now. They have been basically load managed because, says Dan, they've had 1,000 snaps in their college football career. They've been injured before. And so we know what we can get out of them, and so we don't want them to get hurt or even sore before the season starts, and we want to see what we have behind them anyway. And one example he gave is that receiver Graham Goring. He said, we've held Graham out of a couple practices to see what Landon Delaney has. So there's a hint. Landon Delaney might be a guy. I am as excited to see that guy as much as anybody.
But then, Sammy Dressy, Jace Woods. I mean, it never ends at that position. Yeah. They are so deep there.
Right. Running back wise, the first name out of his mouth was Josiah Johnson. He's the downhill guy, and came on strong at the end of last year. And they really had trouble rushing the ball. Your home run hitter is Ramon McKinney, but won't be limited to those two guys.
I really like Corey Blair a
Yeah,
lot.
and Dan mentioned him as well.
James Basinger, he's the other one.
Yeah.
Brendan Begeman just got put on scholarship.
Yeah.
He's probably more of a short yardage guy, not as fast as the other guys, but he's the all-time leading rusher in South Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty good. A couple of their true freshmen, I don't even have their names memorized yet because they're brand new, but Dan was talking up those guys too. I still think that position group is a little bit of a question mark because they don't have a Charles Pierre. They don't have an LJ Phillips. They don't have an Isaiah Davis. Maybe by the end of the year they will.
Yeah.
It's just as of now, none of those guys have fully emerged in that way.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how much more Chase runs, whether it's designed or not.
Yeah, he only had like 150 rushing
Didn't take
yards
off very much last year.
Yeah.
And Sam Herder mentioned in our chat with him yesterday, sometimes Chase Mason was reluctant to either take off or to make the bold throw. He was sometimes overly cautious last year. So against a weak opponent, will we see him just fire away? Not just the plays designed for him, but will that be what he does? And also, really not something that you're worried about tomorrow, Saturday against Stetson. But the offensive line, compared to years past where the bar was, at the ceiling, the 605 Hogs of the national title years, blocking for Mark Gronowski, they got pushed around more than you'd seen SDSU get pushed around on the offensive line. So I don't think that's going to happen against Stetson, but it's something to watch for the rest of the year. Probably something that you don't expect. They seem to like themselves, and
I thought they were still pretty good last year, but they weren't as good as they wanted to be.
Right.
And Quentin Christensen's back.
Yep.
Will Papke's back. Shane Williams back. I have a pretty good feeling about that group, but what's the ceiling for them? Is it 2023 when you had Mason McCormick and Garrett Greenfield and John O'Brien and Evan Bernstein is in the NFL now? That was a pretty good offensive line. But the good thing is that's kind of the standard they hold themselves to. I don't think they're going to reach it, but that's how good they want to be. Because Quentin Christensen was teammates with those guys. He's seen it. He's been there. That was a big thing. I wrote a story about the senior class last week. These guys were on that 22 and 23 team. A few of them, Logan Green, Graham Goring, they played on those teams. They weren't starters, but they played in every game. And they remember what it's like. They know how good they have to be. And to hear them saying, like, hey, this team looks pretty close, it reminds me a little bit. I don't think they're going to reach that level. I don't think you can these days. Well, but if they're close, and I think they are, that's a pretty good sign.
Well, you don't really have as many sixth-year seniors.
Just because of NIL, and you're just never going to get that assemblage of talent at the FCS level ever again.
And they don't have to be as good. North Dakota State isn't around.
Right.
No one likes to.
Well, even if they were, they're not as good anymore either because they're dealing with the same thing every other FCS team.
Yeah, exactly. So one less hurdle to climb, so you don't have to be as elite to win a national championship. But as you wrote in today's story, I think it was today's story, or whatever. Again, it's that's the goal. I mean, they shouldn't have a goal of anything less. At least to get there to Nashville,
right.
It would probably be against Montana State or Montana, but if they don't play one of those two teams in the semifinals.
John, what did we talk about all through the fall of 2022?
Yeah.
How important it is to not have that slip-up game.
Yep.
We talked about that for years, and there were SDSU players and coaches that got pissed at me because I kept bringing it up, and I'm like, well, you keep doing it. It keeps happening. Yeah. You're the best or one of the best teams in the league, and you shit the bed against Southern Illinois at home, or you go to Northern Iowa, beats you at home, whatever it is. The reason NDSU won all those national titles is they didn't slip up during the regular season, and they got a number one seed, and they got to be home all through the playoffs. Well, the only 2 years the Jacks have gone to the national championship game, they were home all the way through the playoffs. Yeah. So, I hate to tell them that, you can't lose any games or the margin for it, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to go to Missoula or Bozeman for the semifinals to get to Nashville. So you got to take care of business during the regular season.
And in case you haven't heard it a few times in the last few months, favorable schedule as far as how it spaces out. Their two toughest back-to-back games. There's a bye week in between them. I don't have it in front of me, but
Illinois State and UND.
Illinois State and UND.
Correct.
And they are separated by a bye. For all of their toughest games on the schedule against the best teams in the league, or even the Northwestern game is week 2. It follows Stetson. You're following either a bye or what should be blowout wins. One last note, though, about Stetson is they're interesting as far as the university and the team and their coach, like they've got a little spice to them as far as just their history and their background.
When I saw their coach was Mike Jasper, I was like, where do I know that name from? I knew I recognized it. He was the guy who weighed like 450 pounds. He was like the biggest player in NFL history. Got drafted out of an NAIA school. He's still to this day the last NAIA guy to get drafted out of Bethel, which
Tennessee.
Bethel goes back to, I think USF might have played him a couple of times.
I think you're thinking Bethel. Well, okay. There's a Bethel, Tennessee. There's a Bethel, Minnesota. But go on.
No, I'm not thinking. I'm definitely thinking of Bethel, Tennessee.
All right.
If they didn't play USF, they were in the same playoff field as USF.
Yeah.
Anyway, he played there, gets drafted by the Bills in the 6th or 7th round. Never really made it. Was kind of a practice squad guy, but he got down to 390 pounds so he could play in the NFL. And so you're reading all that thinking, Jesus, this guy just a big Jabba the Hutt or whatever. But like, no, you see him now. He's lost weight. He's just looks like a football player, and had great success at Bethel. Went back to his alma mater and took them to a couple playoff appearances. Gets the job at Stetson, which is in Florida, an FCS pioneer, so a non-scholarship FCS.
Yeah.
Probably not a whole lot better than Bethel. I'm guessing the caliber of play is probably pretty similar. But they went 3-9 last year. One of their wins was against an NAIA team. Like I said, they got blown out by every FCS team they played. That Pioneer League is weird. 1 year San Diego, I think, won a playoff game out of there. So sometimes those teams are pretty good. The Jacks have played Drake multiple times, and Drake has been like the best team in that league, and the Jacks have beat them 60-0, or something like that. So it's a neat story. They're called the Hatters because of John Stetson, the guy who invented the cowboy hat, was sort of the big benefactor of the university.
Stetson hats. That's that. You think that's what you think of when you think of Stetson. Well, that's it.
Yeah,
that's who the university is named after. What's that?
Well,
actually, I think of the cologne first.
It's the same thing though, right? Isn't it the same company that makes the cologne and the hat?
I think so.
Yeah. Because it's supposed to be a manly.
Must be you think of manly cologne.
Jack Palance doing the commercials or something.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. We'll have a little bit more on Stetson tomorrow, in case you care, on the Thirsty Thursday football forecast with Trent Singer. But that's a second-year coach, second-year staff, so they might have their bleep a little bit more together. But SDSU's in that same boat, so expect a romp on Saturday. If you don't get a romp on Saturday, there's a little cause for concern. I mean, it's game one, whatever.
I mean, maybe they'll come out and just lay an egg and not take them seriously because they know they're gonna. Yeah. And they're not gonna lose.
Right.
I mean, if they do kind of, not take care of business, then it gives Dan a reason to sort of crack the whip going into week 2 because they play Northwestern.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna get a lot.
USD, meanwhile, you compare Stetson to Central Connecticut State, and you go, okay, well, that's a much better game. Well, in relative terms, sure, but they're still a 23.5-point favorite. Central Connecticut State was 8-5 last year. They won each of the last 2 Northeastern Conference championships. Their coach, Adam Lechtenberg, coach of the year the last 2 years. So this is a decent football operation, but it's in a much inferior league. So even though when I look at the numbers last year, the points these teams averaged and gave up, the yardage, it's all very similar, but against completely different levels of competition. So the big news out of USD is obviously Austin Majeski is the quarterback, and so that's the number one thing we're all going to be watching Saturday at 1 p.m. in the Dakota Dome. What was your reaction when you heard on Monday night that he was the guy?
I was not surprised.
He got 2 seniors.
He was in the lead, clearly.
Oh, that's right. You were the one that went to practice and found that out in the first place.
But I was also the one who went to their scrimmage when Vitz kind of sounded like he hasn't won it yet.
Yeah.
And then I asked him, are you open to playing multiple quarterbacks? And he sounded really open to it.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got the sense that, okay, whether Majeski ends up being the starter, and he's probably sounds like they're gonna play the other guys. And then, no, it doesn't sound like that's the case after all. Now, does that mean that from that scrimmage over the next week that Majeski really took it up a notch and sort of tightened his grip on it? I will say, in fairness to Vitzum, when I asked him at that scrimmage, he did say, I have to watch the tape first. It wasn't awesome today, but sometimes you go back and watch the film up and go, oh, that was maybe a little better than I thought or worse than I thought or whatever. So maybe he watched the tape and said, oh, it's better than I thought it was. Yeah. I don't know. But we always knew Majeski kind of had the upper hand. I think because he's younger, there's such a high ceiling because of the obvious arm talent, the obvious skill. To me, he was always the front runner, just because it's like, well, these guys are only going to be here for a year.
Yeah.
Unless they're amazing, and neither of them are, why wouldn't you go with the guy who's got a higher ceiling, a bigger upside? So that's what they're doing. We'll see. I wasn't the one who asked him at his press conference today. Somebody else asked him, what about the other two guys? And he said, I'm not looking for an excuse to get them into the game. And I thought that was telling, because I kind of got the impression that is what he wanted to do. That, hey, these guys are running threats, and Austin really isn't. We haven't had that element to our offense because Aiden Bauman was never a running threat. They really haven't had that since Chris Strevler was their quarterback. So obviously he was like, it's kind of intriguing, the idea of bringing that in there. That's apparently not on the docket, at least for now.
But he has some ability to do that. He might be able to get you a first down on 3rd or 4th and 2 if he checks out of a play, which, by the way, freshmen and young players do a lot of sometimes. Mm-hmm. They don't. The game moves too fast. They don't want to get to their 3rd or 4th read, so they just take off because they're young and athletic. So I wouldn't totally not expect him to run at all or be able to escape. However, for one, I don't know where Sam Herder gets his intel, but I trust Sam Herder. He thinks his theory is they'll have some packages for Jackson Proctor, who is more of a runner. The transfer from Dartmouth, who's played 27 FCS games.
Well, that's what he made it sound like after the scrimmage. But then when he was asked at his press conference on Tuesday, he was like, "Not really."
Okay,
so we'll see.
Seems like the leash.
I mean, there's always some. There's always some gamesmanship in there. He knows that other coaches are watching that stuff, so he might be trying to send it off in one direction, and then he's going to do something. This
is the first mention of the 2026 season to remind all fans and people who consume all media that sometimes coaches, if they're not lying, may not be telling the complete truth about things going on, especially when they're playing really tough opponents and it's a really big game and more eyes and ears are on them. So we're not saying that's what Matt Fitztham is doing. We're just saying don't come back to us if we say, but he said he's not going to bring another guy in to run plays.
I mean, he didn't specifically say that. He just said, I'm not looking for spots to get take Austin out of there.
Yeah, like for example, just for like the opposite of that would be Jefferson High School. They have 2 quarterbacks. They did it last year, and they're going to do it again this year, where there's going to be one guy engineering a whole drive, and then once they get to the red zone or inside the 10, they bring in another quarterback. And that's because the head coach thinks the 2 quarterbacks are too good to keep one of them off the field, and so that's not exactly what USD is going to do here. Or that's what Vitz says they won't do. And by the way, it sounds like the leash is long. Like if Majeski screws up a little bit here and there, he's not going to get the quick hook.
Well, when you commit to a freshman, you've got to take the good with the bad, and you've got to be able to. You can't bench him the first time he screws up because you'll ruin his confidence, and also like you signed up for this.
Yes, and he's mentioned it. He's fully aware that there will be some freshman mistakes. I'll add this though. I asked Fitztham yesterday. After I was done asking him about 7 questions about Majeski, there was one that I thought of right away afterward. Like, I wish I would have asked you this. I said, are you doing this partly because he's a freshman and you'll get him for a few more years, or you're supposed to, And he said, and again, take it for what it's worth, but he said, no, we're looking for the guy that gets us the wins right now. This is our best guy right now. That's why we're playing him. And by the way, say the kid has a big year, I don't know about like 1 year and he's off to the FBS, but maybe a couple of years. Like you can't ever plan for the future that way anymore in college football, especially at the mid-major level, because you just can't plan on a guy being there for more than 1 year at a time.
If he is as good as they hope he is and want him to be, he probably won't be there his whole career.
By the way,
hey, you get 2-3 years out of him,
By the way, 6'5", rocket arm, has a pretty above average ability to comprehend defenses and read. And what does that sound like in the state of South Dakota? That kind of size.
Yeah.
He's not as big and strong as Chase Mason is, but he's got the height, and it seems like he has the it factor. But hey, we haven't seen it yet. We can't wait to see what's there on Saturday. Otherwise, you get to see what Charles Pierre and Keandre Jones-Logan have in store after missing both of them almost the entire year last year. So that'll be exciting. And anything else from USD that you're interested in? Game 1?
I hope it's a good crowd. I know Jacks fans always make fun of USD's crowds, and then USD fans get all pissed off. Jacks. I don't get involved in that, but I hope it's a good crowd. USD's had some really good seasons back to back to back to back. They've really built something there, and they deserve to have big crowds. Those fans should be buying in. I hope it's a sellout or close to it.
Yeah. By the way, Central Connecticut State is going to have a new quarterback, a new running back, and an offense that was more of a passing offense than a rushing offense last year. They like to put the ball in the air. 63% of their yards were through the air last year. They've got the same head coach, same coordinators, different quarterback and running back, so maybe things will be different. But
well, we remember last year USD all fired up for the Iowa State game, Aiden Bauman's homecoming, and they got killed.
Yeah.
Then they went to Lamar and lost. Then they came home to play Northern Colorado and probably should have lost. We're very lucky to escape that with a win. They're 1-2, very, very nearly we're 0-3. I asked Vitz just yesterday, that was a slow start. Is avoiding that, is getting off to a hot start or a better start, has that been a talking point, a point of emphasis? He was like, yes, absolutely. We cannot afford to come out and, kind of stumble out of the gate we did last year. So that's something worth watching too.
So they've got 1 o'clock in the Dome. That's on ESPN Plus. The Jacks play at 6. So if you want to watch both, you got a good spacing out to do all that.
I almost was gonna drive down to Vermillion, watch that game, and then turn around and drive to Brookings. But I think that's a little bit too much.
Don't worry, I'm sure Zach Borg will.
Yeah, I think he said he was gonna.
There you go. I might get to Vermillion. I've got a 6 o'clock game to call in Harrisburg against Jefferson on Midwest Sports Plus.
Well, Trey Houchin will be there for us either way.
Yep. But I think that's the more intriguing game, right? Because it's supposed to be a little closer, and you got the freshman quarterback.
There's more intrigue there for sure.
Meanwhile, Augie and USF are playing on Thursday night. Now, we're not going to do much of a deep dive here. We certainly did on both programs on our Augie and USF preview last week, so find that at SiouxFallsLive.com. But they both have tough opponents on Thursday night, are certainly not gimme games. This is the one non-conference game for both teams.
Yep.
We'll start with Augie. They're number 20 in the country to start the year. They've got a returning quarterback who's really freaking good. You've seen Gunnar Hensley put the ball in the money over and over again in practice. And he's fired up because he got hurt halfway through the year last year. Missouri Western was 3-8 last year. But again, they return a coach. They return a system. And they've got the Vikings at home.
I mean, it's just, the MIAA is a really, really good league. So even a 3-8 team in the MIAA is probably pretty decent. And they should have beat Augie last year. They were ahead 19-9. Mm-hmm. Augie, I shouldn't say should have beat him, but could have beat him. Augie had to rally to win that one. I don't know a ton about Missouri Western coming back this year, but anytime you have to go on the road for your season opener, especially we talked about it, they go to Duluth the next Thursday.
Yeah.
So there's kind of some, again, I don't want to call it a must-win when it's the opener, but it kind of is. You lose that, what are you going to do? Go 10-0 the rest of the year? I mean,
they lost twice last year and didn't make the playoffs.
At the end of the season, they were 9-0 and lost 2 and got knocked out. So I think Gunnar Hensley's really locked in. I think that whole offense is really locked in. I think the defense is going to be okay. I'm not worried about the defense, but it's a little bit more of a work in progress. And OJ has talked about if our offense can, give us a little bit of a cushion early on in the season while we kind of come together on defense, that would help. And I think they will. I expect them to go down to St. Joe's and win that game. But it's not just, like you said, it's not just a gimme, a pushover. Yeah. And then USF has Black Hill State on Thursday. I'll be at that game. They had a tight game last year in Spearfish. But Black Hill State ended up going 3-8, and now they lost a lot of their best players from that team. They really look like they're rebuilding.
Yeah.
So I'd be surprised if USF did win fairly comfortably on Thursday.
Yeah, Black Hill State lost their quarterback, Luke Darby. He threw for over 2,500 yards, 23 touchdowns, and they lost an explosive wide receiver, TJ Shakura.
He went to North Texas.
There you go. So
he was really good.
Of course, again, it's a quarterback sport. What can we say? We're looking forward to seeing what Tate Schaefer has in store for year 2, right out of the chute. I guess
both their running backs back. They got Hank Brown back.
Yeah. So that'll be Thursday night under the lights at Bob Young Field. We're going to do a lot of high school talk with Trent because that's one of his main beats on tomorrow's Thursday football forecast. But we'll get your angles on. We have a pair of top 5 matchups in Metro Ball in 11 AAA. Lincoln hosting number 5 O'Gorman, And Zach Borg will have that game on Friday night, not only on Midwest Sports Plus, but on KSFL TV, Channel 36 over the air, Channel 616 if you have Midco. You can watch that game on actual television. You can get any Midwest Sports Plus game, all these high school games that we do, with the Midwest Sports Plus app, which means you could get that and watch it in your living room as well, not just on a computer or phone. So of those two games, what interests you more?
Which one was it again?
Lincoln O'Gorman and Jefferson Harrisburg, which is, by the way, that one is Saturday night. Jefferson Harrisburg is Saturday at 6 p.m.
Both sound pretty good. I
get to do the Saturday night game, the Tiger Bowl. But, Lincoln, you could watch every game they play, even if they win 82-0, because they have Brody Schaefer at quarterback.
Well, I'm interested to see how good O'Gorman is, Those are 4 teams that, at the moment, are kind of good every year.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see.
And then Jefferson Harrisburg, I mentioned the 2 quarterbacks at Jefferson. Kason Mettinger actually takes over as the primary quarterback. And then Boston Bryant, who's a bigger kid, is going to be more of the goal line situations. I'm curious what you think of that whole idea from Eric Struck. We talked to him on Monday about it. He just doesn't want either of those quarterbacks to be off the field.
Yeah.
They're too good.
Yeah, I get it.
And that's the way he splits it up.
Injuries often will end up helping your decision, or guys tend to play their way in or out of certain jobs. But and also, at the high school level, if a guy's that good, you can always just, all right, we're going to put you at receiver, or we're going to, put you at linebacker or something, find a way to get you on the field. But it worked pretty well for him last year. If you got high school, I think is a little different than college. The old saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. I don't know if I feel that as much in high school. If you got 2 really good athletes, in college, everybody's a good athlete. They were all stars in high school. That's why they play in college football. High school, that's not the case. If you've got 2 really good athletes that happen to play the same position, you better find a way to use them. You don't want to have a good athlete sitting on the bench just because the other guy that plays his position happens to be a little bit better than him.
Right. Okay. Harrisburg has the rare team with an experienced offensive line. That's kind of the buzz headline around there this year. They're always right there in the mix. Going back to Lincoln and O'Gorman, I'm curious about Lincoln not having the services of Mikey Roach and Louis Okosi anymore. They were by far their 2 best receivers and just great downfield threats, fast kids. One of them could catch the ball. The other struggled with it sometimes, but they both really lit it up and are now playing college football. So who do they have to catch footballs from Brody Schaefer? It might not matter when they can play pitch and catch pretty good, but when Lincoln gets a lead and then they get into the 3rd and 4th quarter, it's Brody Schaefer time. He just tucks and runs, and his dad, Travis, is the play caller, and he figures this is our best, easiest way. Get an extra blocker out there to gain yards and hold on to win. Lincoln's defense made it, although it was god-awful last year, and I think Jared Fredenberg wouldn't mind that depiction, and they still almost won the state title. So if they're just a little bit better this year, and maybe they'll need to be because the weapons on offense aren't as experienced, they could get right back to the Dome for a 4th straight year. I found it interesting that their top running back from last year, Devontae Wilson, transferred to Jefferson.
Yeah.
And these high school coaches do not like to talk about transfers and why kids transfer, but my hunch is that Devontae Wilson was averaging 7 or 8 yards a carry, very good running back. I don't know if I'd call him elite, but very good. And then once the games got to crunch time, the quarterback got to run the ball all the time. He probably wants to play college football and showcase himself elsewhere.
Maybe.
So, that's just my theory. We'll see. But then when I asked Eric Struck about him, he said it's going to be kind of a 1-2 running back combination with the guy who was back up with Davian Simonson last year. So that's something to look for on Saturday night right away against a really good top 5 team in Harrisburg. And by the way, 11A state title rematch right away. Lenox and Sioux Falls Christian. They've split the last 2 state titles, and they opened things up in Lenox on Friday night. Sioux Falls Live, got a lot of coverage of all that.
We'll be covering that game. I'll be in Del Rapids for Madison against Del Rapids on Friday night. So,
okay.
We'll have a whole team out there doing it.
So also Thursday, Friday, Saturday, while all these high school and college football games are going on, it pains me to say this as someone who's worked for the Sioux Falls Canaries for 6 summers, but the Birdcage will never be more crowded and electric for baseball. If you want to call banana ball baseball, which it is. There's 9 fielders out there. There's pitchers and guys at bat. It's coming. I don't know about you, just being a member of the media and a part of the baseball community, but I have had people asking me about banana ball tickets, of which there are none. They sold out in like 3 seconds. But I know you like me aren't like big banana ball watchers, but you're intrigued by what it might look like.
I'm not going to go now because I have to go to this high school game on Friday night. So I was going to go to banana ball on Friday night. I'm not now. Trent's going to go on Thursday night, covered for us. There was a part of me that was like, "Well, go see what this is about."
Yeah,
But I don't care. I don't. It's not my bag. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
When I see the highlights on TV, I'm like, ugh. But I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And I don't like to be the kind of person who shits on what other people enjoy. It's not for me. Yeah. But at the same time, I never really had a problem with the Harlem Globetrotters, which is kind of to basketball what the bananas are to baseball. Yes. Obviously, these guys are good at what they do. They're athletes. It's not like they're just jokers or actors or anything. These are real ball players doing stuff out there, and it's resonating with people, and that's great. I don't have a problem with that. Do I think it helps baseball? No. There's no way that I really enjoyed this banana ball game. Now I'm going to buy season tickets to the Phillies. No, nobody's doing that. So it's a separate thing. I hope. I'm assuming the Canaries are going to make some money out of it, or they wouldn't be doing it. Good for them. Good for anyone who enjoys it, but it's not for me.
I have so many thoughts, and I'll keep them brief here because before they were the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball, they were
like an actual minor league team.
They were it was actually a college wood bat team.
Oh, they were one of those teams. Okay.
Yeah.
What league was that?
They had Carolina. Well, Carolina something. Well,
not the Northwoods League, but the same kind of thing.
Yeah, same kind of thing. And before that, so the quick story on that is Savannah did have either a single A or double A team. Minor league pro team affiliated with the New York Mets, and they couldn't draw flies, and the Mets just decided to go elsewhere, and they disbanded. And then there was a guy who was part of a 25-year-old guy in the front office of a college wood bat team in North Carolina, and for some reason he thought Savannah might be a place, or he wanted to go start this thing. His name was Jesse Cole, and now he's the guy in the yellow suit and the yellow top hat, and he owns the bananas and banana ball, and I'm sure he's a multimillionaire over and over again. Yeah. But he took out his life savings to start this college wood bat team, and this whole thing was we're gonna have a dancing, backflipping first base coach. We're gonna, and he started to get some ball players who had a little flair, a little pizzazz to them. And then, because it's a college wood bat league, they could, every now and then bring a guy to breathe fire on the mound and bring in a guy on stilts and, and all kinds of wacky entertainment between innings that, the Canaries, the St. Paul Saints have been doing forever. Anyway, they went from a team in the 100-degree heat of summer in Savannah that the minor league couldn't draw anybody to, well, this is entertaining. And every excuse in the book that you could use why people don't come to your games, they obliterated it because it was really entertaining. Now, the key to that was you can do some things in college wood bat leagues that you can't in real pro baseball, because I have had people ask me, with being a part of the Canaries and their entertainment, like, have you seen what we can't do that. And now their baseball players are, they can all play. And some of them are like Jordan Barth, who's not exactly a heartthrob, not a bad looking guy, but shortstop who's not a heartthrob. I spit on you. Sorry about that.
I didn't notice, but thanks.
Oh, that's why I thought you were looking at me like sideways. You're telling me to wrap it up, I'm sure. And you got guys who can sing and dance and who are heartthrobs, and they're big on TikTok and social media, and they're a brand. So 2-hour games. If a fan catches a foul ball, it's an out. And they do the kinds of things that basically people who think baseball is too boring, let's do anyway. Let's break all the rules and have all the fun, do some Broadway tunes and, choreographed dances. And we had Jordan Barth on about a month ago here on Happy Hour to explain, like, they practice baseball and they choreograph. They practice their choreographed dances and numbers. So it's half Broadway, half baseball. Yeah, they do. And Barth is the kind of guy that can do behind the back catches.
Well, he's making a lot more money there than he was playing for the Canaries.
And he's having so much fun. So I will be there on Friday night. and I'll be intrigued to see what it's all about because I haven't taken the opportunity because I'm like you. I haven't been that interested. I work in real baseball. Sound like a curmudgeon saying that. Real baseball that squeezes in whatever entertainment we can get in between innings to give the fans a little something extra beyond the baseball. But I haven't. It's on ESPN. I see it in sports bars sometimes.
Yep.
I'm kind of like, I'm not. But my husband, I love the TikTok videos. Look at that. We'll see what it's all about, and Trent Singer will write about it on Friday. So we squeezed it in there the last time we talked Vikings a couple weeks ago. Kyler Murray had just won the job. Well, that's becoming more and more obvious now that we see more of J.J. McCarthy in the preseason. And now, we hinted at it, but now it's a relevant discussion. Is it going to be Wentz or McCarthy for the backup quarterback, the guy that Kevin O'Connell will trust if Kyler Murray gets hurt? As Kyler Murray sometimes does.
I think it'll be Wentz.
Yeah.
I was at the game against the Ravens on Saturday. I thought JJ looked crappy again.
Yeah.
I was also at JJ McCarthy's first ever NFL game. His rookie year, preseason game number 1 against the Raiders, and he looked great. And last week he was kind of going around Twitter. Someone posted a video like, look how great JJ McCarthy looked in his preseason debut, and he's never looked that good ever again. There's a whole lot to unpack there. And I think a lot of that falls at Kevin O'Connell's feet. Like, how could you have a guy look that good and you're supposed to be the quarterback whisperer and he's done nothing but get worse and worse and worse and worse since then? But I'm not saying it's all Kevin O'Connell's fault, obviously. Like
worth consideration.
JJ got hurt. I'm not I don't know what's going on. But it just looks like it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
And Carson Wentz looked pretty good when he came in. Now, I think if Kyler Murray suffers like a minor injury or he's just got to come out, Carson Wentz is here too. If Kyler Murray tears his ACL, then do you maybe like, all right, let's go with JJ? And I don't know. Probably not, because Kevin O'Connell's probably, I don't want to say he's on the hot seat, but if they have another bad year this year, he could get fired.
Yeah,
so
absolutely could get fired.
I don't know. I mean, there was some stuff online today that JJ could get cut or traded, that he might not even make the team. So
yeah, he'd be worth about a 6th round pick.
Yeah,
he's not even worth it.
I wouldn't trade him. There's no point. I would just stash him as your 3rd stringer. Max Brosmer can't play football, so
he's going to try. He'll probably get all the snaps in their last preseason game.
JJ be the 3, and
yeah, I'm with you. KOC is as much notoriety as he gets as a quarterback whisperer. It's usually for veterans, people who've been in the league for.
And if Kyler Murray has a Pro Bowl season this year, then okay, you can keep calling yourself that. But if he doesn't, this is just as a fan, this is a put up or shut up year for me for Kevin O'Connell.
Sure.
Like, you haven't won you've had 2 great teams that both, went one and done in the playoffs, kind of in embarrassing fashion.
Yes, very embarrassing.
Like, put something together here, or it's time to try somebody else.
Yep. And meanwhile, what I was going to say, he works well with and he prefers veteran quarterbacks.
Who doesn't?
That's a great point. So, some people have a little more patience with younger quarterbacks.
The problem, John, problem is this new contract scale that we have. This new rookie contract thing where you've got 4 years with option for a 5th if you're a first-round pick.
Yeah.
So all these teams, and particularly their ownership, feels this pressure we have to hurry up and win or contend for a Super Bowl within that window of our quarterback's rookie contract, because then we have to pay him $1 zillion a year after that. Yep. That's forcing all these teams to play young quarterbacks before they're ready and throw them in there, and we have to hurry up and try and win this 4 or 5 year window. And that just isn't how it works. It just doesn't. There's a couple guys that can do that, but most guys can't. Aaron Rodgers was in his 5th year when he took over as a starter finally? Fourth. He sat for, that's what it takes. And if you have this rookie contract scale where it's like everyone's trying to race and do it, it's not going to work. So now you have all these young quarterbacks that are, Kevin O'Connell said it himself, franchises fail young quarterbacks more than the other way around. And that same thing is probably happening here. Again, I'm not saying that JJ is a Pro Bowl in waiting and everyone's screwed it up. He might just be a bust. But when you're racing to make these guys the guy before they're ready, that just doesn't work. That's just not working. So I don't know if they will, if there's a possibility that will get changed in the next collective bargaining agreement or something. But I really think it's causing a crisis of young quarterback development that nobody is being given the time. Now, it's great when a guy like, Drake May just is ready. Boom, I'm a stud in year 2 or 3. That's great.
Yes.
Most guys aren't.
Well, and sometimes guys are. It doesn't take as long as others to figure out they aren't going to make it. Guys like Jamarcus
Sam
Russell,
Darnold and Baker Mayfield are perfect examples of teams like, well, you didn't do it in 3 years, you're a bust, goodbye.
Yeah.
And they're both good.
Yeah. There's examples of both. There's also examples of guys who were just overdrafted and were in over their skis and
or a team
work anyway, like Justin Fields. Okay,
Christian
guys
Ponder.
who Bryce, what's his face in Carolina. I mean, he might be on the comeback trail, but we saw when McCarthy was drafted by the Vikings. I kind of thought, God, he had a primrose path at Michigan. He had a great line. He had a great run
Didn't
game.
throw that much.
Play action passing.
But he had the physical tools at least.
Sure.
He had a rocket for an arm. He still does.
Yeah. How was your Minnesota Vikings experience? I know you're going to these you can explain why you've gone to 2 preseason games in the last 3 years.
I got 3 tickets, row 5 in the upper deck. The 3 tickets total cost $97.
Yeah.
We looked up what those same tickets cost for the home opener against the Packers, $400 apiece. That's why I went to a preseason.
Yeah. And so you get the experience of being in the stadium and a football game's being played, and they've got all the production value of a normal game. And you have a 9-year-old son who I'm sure this is just
he's 10.
And this is all really, really cool.
It is. He's finally, this is probably the last year I'll be able to trick him, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because he was like, I was like, hey, we're going to the Vikings game. Oh, awesome. He's like, wait, isn't it a preseason game? And I was like, yeah. I can see the gears turning, and he's like, will Justin Jefferson play? Yeah. And I was like, probably not. And he didn't.
I had just played a morning round of golf, and it was on TV in the bar at the 19th hole, and I had no interest. I just am like, football, that's
Arthur
great.
likes J.J. McCarthy, and he played most of the first half.
Sure.
And he completed a 50-yard bomb that I felt that was really the
that
only
was it. And he screwed up
game.
a couple of easy touchdown passes.
Yeah.
Was it boring, or were you kind of okay? There you go. Meanwhile, the Twins. Hey, what's new? Byron Buxton's hurt. Yay.
Well, he's been terrible for the last month. I think he's been playing hurt.
Hasn't hit a home run since. Has only played 25 games. Hasn't hit a home run since June 22nd. After hitting 25 prior to that.
Yeah, he was like among the league leaders.
And last night in Sacramento, he, a ball flies out toward him and is rolling toward him, and he can't bend down to pick it up. So he had a hip injury, had to be taken out of the game as of right now.
He's been playing hurt for over a month. It's obvious.
And so, nothing new, but
I guess he just came back for the Hall of Fame game. But before that, even he was playing hurt.
Yeah, but what do you make of that? He might go on the injured list again. He might not. Twins are 3 back of the wild card. It's just
they're like 5 games under 500.
They got these wild swings. They
but
sweep Atlanta, then they get swept. Stuff like that.
The rest of their schedule is pretty easy. I don't know. I'll watch.
Yeah.
I'm not optimistic.
Okay. And last word, Canaries, they're battling. They won 13-12 in Fargo last night, and that is the story of the Canaries. They can hit a lot. They can score a lot. They struggle to pitch well. It's the highest ERA in their league, and they're just going to have to keep winning some beer league shootouts here. They should make the playoffs. They've got a big playoff push. Their last 7 games are at home, or next week, September 1st through the 7th, and they've got, I don't have it off the top of my head, what a promoter, but they've got really good ticket and concession deals to entice people to come out to the ballpark for the playoff push next Tuesday through Monday, and hopefully they'll get at least one playoff game at the Cage and make some noise there. All right, good times, great oldies. Cheers to Dolly Parton. Bye.
Why are you laughing?
That was a terrible outro.
You.
Casino round drink?
Yes.